What's up, guys? It's me, JellyKnees. Now, let's talk about the community corner that happened last week. They went over a couple questions from the community. We were live streaming the whole thing, but the biggest thing that they gave us is like a 5 minute kind of overview of the map, of shots sweeping through the map and around the map and all the things. And we see a bunch of things, and we gain a little bit of information in there with it as well. So get subscribed. Let's talk about it all. So the opening shot for it is this shot of the obelisk. We still don't know what the obelisk does. They didn't go into any detail for it, but they did confirm it to be the fourth objective or the fourth neutral objective of Ethereal. My best guess for what it's going to entail is that it's going to be some kind of capture the flag, king of the hill type thing, that when a person or a team stands on it for a certain amount of time, they gain buffs or they gain extra gold per 5 seconds or something along those lines. That it's going to be a over the amount of time they gain benefits from controlling this point. But the enemy team can come back and control it and yada yada yada. My biggest, I don't want to say complaint, but the feedback for the obelisk here is that the textures on the obelisk itself look really out of place in comparison to the textures that are all around it. They look really low res in comparison to a lot of the other stuff. But other than that, I want to know more about the obelisk. So UG, next community corner, please let me know. I just gotta know. I gotta know if we were right about it. But it shows the rings that are moving, going back and forth. Like I said, no information for sure one way or the other about how it is. And then if you look right up through the rings, you see the mouth of the fire drake or the fire wyvern pit. Now this I want to talk about. This platform is what they're calling an open camp. The open camps are going to be jungle camps. If you guys watched my previous video about how many jungle camps there were going to be and all of that, we kind of touched on something like this. But that those weird open spots on the map are going to have the open camps, and they're going to have some kind of jungle creature that when you kill, you're going to get some hefty reward for killing them. Whether that be gold, whether that be experience, an extra buff on top of the regular buffs. We don't know too much detail about that, but we know that they're going to be some kind of bigger jungle camp, presumably harder than the regular jungle camps as well to deal with. If the previous video I talked about it, there's going to be 3 on fire lane, 3 on ice lane, and 2 on the void lane. So it'll be really interesting to see why there's so many in comparison to what all is going to happen with those at the same time. So right now we're sweeping through the ice lane. I like that they did the snow shot with the ice lane, and we see some jungle camps kind of strewn about here. The jungle camp detail is really interesting because it changes based on which side you're on, and we'll kind of show that a little bit later. But for now, if you look at this jungle camp on screen, you can see that it's kind of got like a flat top that rounds off the edges and goes down into the camp. If you wait a little bit, we'll get a better shot of the other camps to be able to show you that they're very different from each other. So the sweep through of ice lane, we see the second open camp, and it's kind of curving around. You can see a tower peek out right here a little bit. And this tower shows that the lane's right here, and literally right next to this, just off screen, what you can't see is the ice wyvern cave. So the lanes are going to touch the mouth of the wyvern cave, which is an interesting concept to say the least. I'm not sure I'm a fan of it, but I definitely have to wait to play it to see how it's going to feel in comparison with everything else. But as we sweep through, you see more jungle camps kind of strewn about. The towers look great. They're kind of the glowing red aesthetic to them. I love. And here's a little bit of what you can see. The other jungle camps have like a sharper top to them, which fits a different aesthetic. So I'm thinking that that's going to differentiate both sides. Now, if you look right here, we get a better view of it later, but you can see into the enemy base from all the way up on the ice lane. So that's really interesting, being able to have that kind of vision. I'll be really curious to see how that affects gameplay, if it does at all. So after this shot, it fades out and goes to another shot of an open camp. And this is actually the fire lane. So you have the open camps here, and it's kind of going to zoom around and show you different spots. There's a waterfall over there that's really interesting. So right here, we have this kind of opening, and we see this tree trunk going up the one side. I'm curious if anybody can traverse up and down this, or if it has to be knocked down, or what it is that this is going to interact with in order to create new paths, or if berserkers can break this and turn this into kind of a dead end area for anyone walking that direction. Could be a really cool way to change the map and have an effect on non-reapers or sky slayers. So we have to wait, find out that, but I'm really curious to see how that all is going to work in and of itself. So as we kind of sweep across here, we get another image of a jungle camp. It kind of goes by very quickly, and naturally pausing distorts the quality here. So I'm sorry about that, guys. But another jungle camp right there. And this is what I was talking about. So this is the mouth of the Fire Wyvern cave. The lane is right here in front of it. So I don't know how that's going to work with gameplay, and if there's going to be something to inhibit me just from looking into the Wyvern cave if I'm standing in lane, or what's going to happen there. Something I'm noticing here, though, is there's a transition of color here. On the other side, they kind of like darker fall leaf colors, and now we've got green luscious colors. So I'm wondering if that's going to be a side disparity of, depending on which side you're on, you're going to have the different color forest, or if that is some transition that happened in the middle of this shot as well. And another open camp. We have a top down of the obelisk here. So this shows that we are on the void lane, and then it's going to kind of sweep across this one side and show you the void lane with the rain effects at the same time. So the rain effects are clearly going to inhibit vision in some form, because you're seeing that it's kind of fogging up the screen and posing some visual issues for it as well. As we go through, you can get a shot of the lane sweeping through the mid here, and it's rotating around, so we're actually heading towards the Atropos cave at the same time. Lots of jungle camps strewn about through here. The river looks incredible. I actually want to stop on this river for a second. This looks incredible. Like, seriously, good work, level designers, because this looks like such a good, like, small rapids area that maybe you can't traverse, maybe you can, but still, it just looks really, really good. We can kind of get hints of other things in the map, but I want to talk about this log here. This log could pose some serious issues. This is the shot we got of the map before. I'm 99% sure, where we saw the log over the pathway. We could see the torches up into here, but we couldn't see what goes off to the right. So it looks like this log takes you from one side of a wall all the way over and drops you in the middle of a jungle camp. That's nuts. To be able to just be able to surprise somebody that's potentially working on that jungle camp sounds like a crazy thing that, like, I'm really curious to see how effective it's going to be, or if maybe the berserkers can break this, like we said before, and block that pathway at the same time. So as we kind of creep past, we've gone past the Atropos cave at this point, and we see two towers here, more jungle camps strewn about. I really love the level of detail that went into the foliage and how it's dense, but it's not overwhelming. Like, as a Sky Slayer, you can take this view and clearly get an idea of what's going on, but you'll have areas where you could lose people at the same time. Something I noticed during the live stream is that they actually changed their torch design. So before, it was just kind of a generic wooden torch on a post, and now they've got this kind of more intricate folding out metal design that I really like of these torches. So I'm glad to see that's changed. I think these fit an aesthetic of the map better than kind of generic wooden torches do. So they transitioned this to be, instead of a top-down view, they wanted to give us like a what you could expect to see while playing the game type of view. So we pass an open camp. We're on the void lane because we can see the obelisk here. The obelisk in this shot, I will say, looks better than it does before, but you can still see some of that, what feels like low-res texture attached to it. And clearly we're below one of the lanes. If we're on the obelisk side, this would be the fire lane that's above us, hence why we saw the rocks falling down. We have another shot of the open camp, and here's the shot I was waiting for the pointy jungle camps. You can see here, this is a very different design than the kind of the flat, rounded edge top to it. So I really like this design, and I really like that it looks like it's going to differentiate which side you're on the map. So even as a jungler, if you get lost in the jungle, you can just look at the type of jungle camp you're at, and it'll tell you which side of the map you're on, which I think is a great little indicator to tell you where you are on the map. This is interesting also because we have an open camp here right next to a regular jungle camp. So I'm not sure how that's going to work and how effective it's going to be to go from like a jungle camp straight into an open camp or vice versa. It's going to be really interesting to see a lot of these intricate details come to work as things progress in learning more information about the game. We get a better shot here of the kind of flat rounded jungle camps, the inner workings here. And I love the details put into this camp. The cracks here on the stone, the kind of mossy mold growing up the top. You've got moss growing in the crevice here. Really, really high level attention to detail that I think is it goes a long way despite not being noticed by a lot of players mid game. Right now we have the time. Right now we have the time to look at this and be like, wow, like that looks super good, and I want to hats off to the level design team for it. But when you get into game, you probably won't notice anything like this because you're not looking for the details. You're trying to kill those minions as fast as possible. So it's absolutely a great thing to notice now while we can. This shot we've kind of seen before where we kind of weave through here when we had the Marina walkthrough kind of talk about it. What we didn't realize is that the Ice Wyvern Cave is right here next to us. So we're really condensed from, we were at the edge of the lane, and this is the Ice Wyvern Cave already that we can see. That was not too much distance between the two things. So travel time is going to be really interesting to see between edges of lanes and the Wyverns, or lane to lane and things like that as we go through the map. The attention to detail on the map floor here with the various plants and things, I think is, again, incredible. It seems like there's mushrooms everywhere. Mangoose and I gave Paige of Imagination a hard time about the mushrooms. So maybe she went back in and put more mushrooms just to tease Mangoose and I about it. And then we get another shot of an open camp and kind of the little side details of the camp as you would see it approaching it. Looks like maybe from like a Nikolai view, but maybe that we're smaller than I think we are. And here you get two really good shots. You see this jungle camp here. This is more what I was talking about with the flat rounder head. This is the best we kind of get of that camp type. But also we see the different angle from that, what looks to be that pathway we were talking about before with the log. And it looks like this is going to be a one-way trip for anybody that goes through here because there was no path coming up and then this path leading out. So unless there's another one right next to this opening, it looks like that may be a one-way trip to get that jungle camp, which is a really cool idea as a whole. And I'm really excited to see what plays you can make with something like that in the game. We've got this shot before where Marina was walking up this side hill, but this kind of shows like the reflection here off the top of this jungle camp is incredible. I just love everything about this and how we can see the details, and it's molded, but it's imperfect at the same time. It doesn't look overly fake because of it has imperfections and the reflections and dents in the metal and things like that. And we get another outside shot of the Ice Wyvern Cave here at the same time. Now this shot, this is the last shot of the video, but I want to talk about a couple things here. Here we have the tower. And this tower is slightly different than the one we got in the Extra Life test in design. So I really love this, and I don't know if this is a overall look of the towers for the entire lane, or if this is just because it's clearly a base tower going through here. The other thing we get to see is the spires in more action than they were before. So this has kind of got like a crystalline look to it, which I really love. And you can see that it's sitting very tall, but as we saw in the post about the structures, the spires will likely decrease in height dependent on some factor. We don't really know what that factor is yet. And then we have the Elder slightly behind. Now, in the live stream, I brought up that this looks awfully close together, that it's going to be easy if I'm getting behind the spire to aggro the Elder onto me. And I was told that the distance is actually a lot bigger than it looks in this shot. Something we also figured out is that if looking at the Extra Life footage, Dante is about the third of the height of the Elder. So it takes 3 Dantes to be as tall as an Elder, which means that if this is half the height of the Elder from this distance, this structure is likely huge and much bigger than it feels in the concept art or even in this video that we got. Something Mangoose pointed out to me about the Elder, though, as we get closer, is the Elders in the concept art and in the Extra Life test had 2 swords one in each hand. Whereas in this, they only have one. So we're not sure if it's going to be that when they get to a certain health threshold, they pull out the second one and deal more damage, or if the second one is now missing, or what that's going to be. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. But guys, that's the end of the community corner video that we got. There's a ton of information in here. I tried to cover a lot of it. I know I missed some things, some little intricate details that I know some of you have noticed, but I'm really glad to see this, and I can't wait to see more from the Ethereal devs and all the new information coming out. At the same time as this, they also updated their website with more lore. They specifically a Dante story called Spoiled Rotten. I think it's currently 3 parts. Maybe there's more in the future. We don't quite know. But guys, if you want to see more Ethereal content, right over here for all the content I've made in a playlist. On the other side, a video recommended just for you by YouTube. And click the icon above my head, hit subscribe, get the bell on to make sure you don't miss anything else I post. And I'll see you guys in the next one.